Hello, my name is Rafael Becerra Pérez. I'm from the Tecnológico Nacional de México and the Instituto Tecnológico de Aguascalientes from the Metal Mechanical Department. And I'm from Material Engineering. My subject is producción de metales no ferrosos. My professor is Israel de Jesus Gómez Carmona. And the name of the activity is Activity with 4.1 Hydrometallurgy. In the following, we'll present some aspect of the history of hydrometallurgy, how it emerged, how it evolved over time, some important people who contribute to this process, and how they affect hydrometallurgy today. History of hydrometallurgy. At first, the roots of hydrometallurgy, obviously. In the beginning, hydrometallurgy focused entirely on the transmutation of gold into some metals for the users. For example, when an alchemist divides a piece of iron into a solution of blue vitriol, and the blue vitriol or aqua regia is like in the image here on my left. Copper sulfate, the iron was immediately covered by a layer of metallic copper. Sometime later, aqua regia was discovered by Jabir ibn Hayyan, and this aqua regia is a mixture of hydrochloric acid and nitric acid that dissolve gold. Neither of the acid alone has any dissolving action. Aqua regia is still used today for gold refining, and that was like what methods or know it in these days like hydrometallurgy. Now we have 16th century. In 16th century, at this time, recognition began to be given to this metal for the aqua regia and transmutation. In areas such Germany and Rio Tinto mines in Spain. In this operation, pyrite contained some copper sulfide minerals was piled in the open air and left for months to the action of rain and air, where the oxidation and dissolution of copper took place. A solution containing copper sulfate was drained from the heap and collected in a basin. Metallic copper was then precipitated from dissolution by scrap iron, a process that became known as cementation process, which is apparently derived from the Spanish cementación, meaning precipitation. Now, on 18th century, before the invention of Leblanc process for the manufacture of sodium carbonate from sodium chloride, the main source of sodium carbonate was from ashes of seashore vegetation. And that of potash was from ashes produced by burning wood in areas where the decline of forests was in progress on a large scale. The importance of these processes to hydrometallurgy is in fact that leaching was extensively practiced during the period 1767 to 1867. And this was like wood ash was collected from domestic stove and fireplaces and from limes kilns, then agitated with water, filtered, then evaporated to dryness to July potash. 1 ton potash required burning of 400 tons of hardwood, which is equivalent to the 10 acres of forest. 1783 to 1821. In this phase of the time was created the cyanidation process. That is, the dissolving action of cyanide solution on metallic gold was known as early as 1783 by the Swedish chemist Carl Wilhelm Scheele. The application of this knowledge to extract gold from its source was proposed and patented much later in England by John Stewart MacArthur to 1856 to 1920. The cyanidation process had already been applied to each mining district in the world, and still its chemistry was very obscure. Its impact to hydrometallurgy had been tremendous. Extremely large reactors known as door agitators, in which the finally ground ore was agitated with the cyanide leaching agent and equipped with compressed air injection in the pool had been designed and built by the metallurgical engineer John Doerr. Then a huge filtration plant designed to obtain clear leach solution for metal recovery were similarly constructed. And that was in 1783. Then we have here the process that, well, one of the most important contribution to hydrometallurgy process that was for this handsome man that it's called Bayer. His name is Bayer, and with the preparation, and his process is with the preparation of all pure aluminum and known as the Bayer process. This process was concerned with leaching bauxite, discovered in 1821 in France. After separating the insoluble material, the pure solutions was then seeded to precipitate pure crystalline aluminum, which was filtered, washed, dried, and then calcined to pure aluminate for charging to the electroreduction cell invented 2 years earlier. And here we have an image on my left, I think, yes. And that's the process of the Bayer process. And then we have here, 1855 to 1887. In 1855, Louis Le Chatelier described a method for making aluminum by heating bauxite with sodium oxide at high temperatures, leaching the sodium aluminum with water, then precipitating with aluminum hydrox by carbon dioxide, which was then filtered, dried, and cleaned to pure aluminum oxide. This process was abandoned because in favor of Bayer process. And then in 1887, discovered aluminum hydrox precipitated from alkaline solution that was like crystalline, easy to filter and wash free from impurities, while the precipitated from acid medium by neutralization was gelatination and difficult to filter and wash. This was the process that ruled out the Le Chatelier process with his similar process in 1855. Now let's go to 1903. This age, Mr. Malsac in France proposed to use ammonia solution for leaching sulfide of copper, nickel, and cobalt with the same process, Bayer process. And then we have 1912, that copper sulfides were also solubilized due to the presence of ferric ions, which act as an oxidizing agent, instead of preparing copper for leach solution by scrap iron in the usual way. Then electrowinning was used in Chile in 1912. And then we have 1950. Here, pressure hydrometallurgy was introduced for leaching sulfide concentrates. That is called Sherritt-Gordon process for lateries, for tungsten ores, as well as for the direct precipitation of metal from solutions. As a result of these developments, some Canadian coins were produced for over 40 years using hydrometallurgical technique. And then we have the next age, that is 1970. That is for pressure leaching of zinc sulfide. In the 70s, the pressure leaching of zinc sulfide concentrates was applied industrially in Canada. The new process, which is essentially the same as that show as the Bayer process, render the production of zinc a full hydrometallurgical process, thus displacing the horizontal resource process based on roasting zinc sulfur, reducing of zinc oxide by carbon, and then distillation refining of metallic zinc. And we have the nowadays. That nowadays, today hydrometallurgy is most based on leaching. And that's it. And that's it for my presentation. In conclusion, as a conclusion, it was learned in a better way how hydrometallurgy works and how it is that with this advance that occur over the time it proved. And how it can be used today for basic and complex mixtures, since it can be much better than other form of extraction due to its great capacity to eliminate or separate these bones of these when they are found in deposit or in the sand mines of deposits. Thank you very much. And here is my bibliography.